Hey, welcome to the EDC Cup, man. Let's just talk about like a wrap up of what I use my EDC for today. You know, EDCing and being a dad and taking care of a house and having a job and all the other type of stuff. And just kind of like this is towards the end of my night. And I know it seems weird to like be the end of the night and I'm deciding to make a cup of coffee, but this is just kind of how it goes around here where once everybody's in bed, that's kind of when I shine. So I got more work to do, or I have videos to edit, videos to film, stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll do this daily. I'll definitely do some of this stuff for channel members. So think about joining the memberships down below. I think I want to have a Americano. I'm not like a coffee expert. I do have this is my coffee mess. Sometimes it is a mess. Right now it is sort of a mess, but my coffee mess is kind of where I go and I make cups of espresso, Americano, etc., etc. I have a Cuvée Emporium. This is from Austin, Texas. They seem to make a decent bean. This was just roasted towards the end of last month. And I really want to see if I can really have a espresso. Then I didn't clean my cup out this morning, so I need to take care of that. I don't know if you guys like really mess around with like coffee machines and espresso and stuff like that. My espresso machines, Ocasio. I think this is the PID Dream. I don't know. I think that's what it's called. The Niche Zero is my main grinder. I really want a second grinder for pour overs. Right now I use the Vessel as what I use for grinding for pour overs, which is it's a fantastic hand grinder, but it's a hand grinder. It's like 2 minutes of cranking it out by hand. And if you're married and you're a dad, sometimes you got to crank them out by hand and all that good stuff. But yeah, hey, listen, so we're going to have a Americano to kind of just get the night going. And we'll talk about what I'm starting to like more and more, I can't live without. And I screwed this up because I got this scale that like helps measure like my consistency of shots. This is like relatively cheap on Amazon, but I want to see if I can get more consistent pour overs, shots of espresso, and stuff like that. What I'm starting to realize more and more is that I have items within my EDC I cannot live without. Two of those items, once again, are shining. They're like on display at all times. So today I had to take my oldest daughter, my 15-year-old, back to my ex-wife. She lives in San Antonio. I live here in Dallas. We meet halfway. And so, I take a small EDC loadout just in case I need stuff. I kind of have like a planned route where I go from here and I take 35 South. And I normally will stop in a Buc-ee's that's it's like in Temple, Texas, right outside of Waco. And I normally will stop there on my way back. We meet in a small town. We kind of just hang out or whatever and wait for mom to get there and pick up. So, very small loadout. But what I'm noticing, even in my loadout, is there are things that I absolutely have to have with me no matter what. And so we meet in this town called Belton, Texas. And in Belton, they only have very few restaurants. It's a relatively decently small town to navigate. But of course, I drive my truck there and I normally will just take something small. And I normally will take an additional kiddo with me when I go down there. So today I took the water-filled sling, loaded this thing out, kind of like an impromptu diaper bag. And so some wipes, some diapers. I brought this iPad mini, of course, my phone, hero clip to hook it to the back of the seat, put some snacks in here, Pop-Tart. But the biggest thing that I had on me today is I wore my Vertex LT Delta stretch pants. Those things are becoming staples in my EDC. They're so useful for me to be able to just like have the items that I need at the ready at all times. And The multi-tool and the flashlight are shining bright today, y'all. It's shining bright. And I'm starting to realize it more and more that there are just so many little things I'm using my multi-tool for that allows for me to avoid going fully into my EDC kit for my tools and pulling that out, but I got to still do stuff. I had to make a small adjustment on my Diamondback cover, which I wasn't expecting to have to do, but even to use the multi-tool for that is like really clutch. Of course, my son threw chips all in the back of my truck, but I realized as I'm cleaning the chips up that a piece of his car seat isn't completely tightened down, and multi-tool for that. Now, flashlights is coming in use, trying to pick up all the crap that he threw in the back. But even when the trip is over, because a lot of frustrations happen on these trips, man, and even the smallest of things, like the McDonald's that we meet up at, people are acting like complete assholes, and of course I have to drive my truck over a curve to literally get out of the parking lot, which is the benefits of having a lifted truck. But even I'm realizing everything more and more within my EDC, I'm appreciating for any small, subtle uses. So like the wallet that I've been carrying primarily for the most part, it has been the Wingback wallet by the cash wallet by Wingback. And I've been really been a huge fan of this because it just kind of lets me peek my cards. And I know I can do that with the escrow wallet and stuff like that, but I like the fact that I can physically dive my fingers into this wallet and pull the cards out, just a couple of cards out that I want. I like the escrow wallet because it does have that quick access, but it's bigger than this. It's bigger than this wallet. It has like a rigidity to it that I don't like. I like this, just this small minimalistic leather style, pumping gas, buying snacks, getting 2 cups of coffee, everything that I need, super duper clutch. And what I'm realizing is that more and more, I'm appreciating my everyday carry items in a number of ways. So the watch that I wore today was the VAR C5 Tactical, the Solar Edition specifically. And I like this because today low loom situations happen quite often where I want to know the date, I want to know the time, I don't want to pull my phone out of my pocket. These are first world problems, things that y'all might deal with. But being a dad, there's a lot of situations where you're just like, oh my gosh, can I put these kids out of their staying awake misery? Okay. I'm not talking about, can they go to bed? And whether you are being jungle gym by a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 11-month-old, or you are literally trying to find something that fell underneath a crib, there's always an opportunity to peek at your watch and have the loom light up and realize that I got 30 more minutes before I can rid myself of these humans. I love my kids. They're awesome. I love introducing them to some of the things I'm interested in, whether it's YouTube, video games. And I just introduced one of my kiddos to a beat 'em up game. I introduced her to the Ninja Turtles beat 'em up game. She thought it was kind of whack, but I still like the fact that she was down to play with me for a couple of hours. But there are times when I'm kind of like, I am ready for you to skedaddle, to get up out of there. But this watch is coming in clutch for small stuff like that. I also had to drain our pool. Guys, we have a hoarder house. And so I own my own sump pump, a 1-stage sump pump where I'm always having to drain the pool, drain the hot tub while we wait to get more maintenance done to it. And even those small use cases of adjusting my sump pump, adjusting the actual hose clamp that goes onto it. I have a large, I think it's a 2-3 inch diameter hose that goes onto the sump pump. And to adjust that, wrench it down, my multi-tool. This is the thing that I'm starting to realize I can't live without in my EDC, at least not anytime soon. Eventually this will phase itself out and I won't carry it as often. I ebb and flow with the carrying of a multi-tool. Right now it's heavy usage where I'm using it all the time. And whether it's using it today for that, I also had to actually throw down some weed and feed, some herbicides, kill all the bugs in my grass, like pump sprayer type of action. And having like multiple uses of this thing came in so handy today. I literally have not turned on the water spigots on the outside of my house. I have 3 of them. 2 of them haven't been turned on the entire winter. And to know that I need to make a micro adjustment on one of those I couldn't get to turn off. Having this in my pocket, super clutch. This is a first world thing where, yeah, of course I could run to the back of the house and I can grab myself a pair of pliers or something like that. But this thing has been coming in handy more and more. Another thing is my son on his bunk bed, he has realized that he has the ability to, that looks like a pretty decent shot of espresso, if I say so myself, but we're gonna turn this into an Americano by adding hot water. So he has slowly started to take some of the bolts out of his bunk bed. And I didn't realize it until today. And he's just been working it with his hands and with his fingers, or actually I realized it the other day. So what I've been doing is keeping in my actual Leatherman, the Free P4. Of course, mine is modified to where I've added this bit driver to it. I just keep the actual bit, which for his bit, I think is a T6, no, T10. So T10 screws. I keep this loaded in the bit driver because he's always just finding different ways to back those screws out. Saves me a headache from having to go from his room back to the garage all the way back to this room. First world problems, I don't care, I'm a dad. Sometimes like saving yourself a walk is a real life thing. Having to go up and down stairs, I'm a disabled vet. Some of my disabilities are real life. So one less trip up and down the stairs is something that I look forward to. But having this thing today for actually tightening my daughter's crib, which she's getting bigger, she's starting to do ridiculous stuff. That doesn't use the T-bows, that actually uses Phillips. Well, this is already loaded with Phillips. I'm able to knock that out. Opening a brand new box of diapers. Of course, I talked about the whole Deca and hey, listen, go get a pair of scissors, do that type of stuff. But even just breaking down an obnoxious amount of cardboard today and having to actually use this to make a fix in the bed of my truck, use this to cut a piece of drywall. I made a repair it was my fault, but I put a hole through the wall with a pair of boots by accident. So cutting very, very thin drywall to do a drywall repair job. Of course, you can use Milwaukee Fastback, you can use a drywall cutter, but I mean, when you got something like this in your pocket, like just why not go for it? For me personally, my EDC is like growing with me every single day. And the thing that's like the most clutch, I don't know if I can go more without the multi-tool or without the flashlight. I think if you like made me choose between the two, I probably would give up the multi-tool. It would be hard to do, but I cannot give up the flashlight. You guys know I featured in my everyday carry video, and you know I test different items out. I just test the Olight Javelot out. You know, that's testing is over. That now lives in my truck, but this still lives in my pocket. And I get other flashlights that I come through every now and again and I test them out. But the EDC 33 is still something that I use all the time. And this was just used 20 minutes ago to administer some corporal punishment to my 3-year-old and my 2-year-old who are having a grand old time getting in and out of the bed. I like to literally use it to pop into their room and just like literally just hit them with the light and ask them, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the bed. And if we got a little corporal punishment action going on, we use it for that. But also there was some type of crazy thing going on with the washing machine and dryer today. Wife had no clue what it was. Of course, you always got a flashlight on you to see those type of things. I've also been having a real big issue with, because I have this pool that's a hoarder pool from this hoarder house. When it rains, if I don't drain it immediately, and sometimes I go a couple of days, I get frogs back there trying to mate. I also get possums, and I will get raccoons or whatever. And I have no issue with going out there and scaring those items or flashing them or whatever. Possums don't care about flashlights, but raccoons, they do. And if I need to go out there to kill some frogs, which I will, I use the flashlight for that. So like my EDC is, listen, I'm telling you this from a perspective from somebody that's a work from home, and I'm building a strong relationship with my 11-month-old. She stays home with me during the days. So my 3-year-old, my 2-year-old, they both go to daycare. Of course, my 9-year-old, my 15-year-old go to school. And we normally don't put our kids in daycare until they're 18 months to 2 years old. So, you know, I get a lot of time to like really develop my relationship with my kids as a stay-at-home dad. But I also have a full-time job. So it's not truly stay at home because I have work to do. But I've realized more and more that my EDC doesn't always have to live on me to be useful, but it does need to be nearby. And I didn't realize how important that was until I started to not have it with me at all times. We'll talk about what was in the bag as well. But I know that it's easy to make fun of those to do EDC. Feel free, take some jabs at me in the comments. I don't really care. It's all good in the hood. But I'm trying to come at y'all as a perspective. If you're a dad out there, or if you're a prior military, if you're a prior active duty Marine, or if you made the choice to join the Army or something like that, then I know that sometimes it's hard to think about usefulness of using some of these EDC items unless you are literally in the trades. If you're a tradesman, if you're laying down tile, you're putting up drywall, you're a paramedic, you're a first responder, you're a peace officer, or you work construction, you do a number of things. Then yeah, a lot of times you may feel like, if you're in my position where I have a corporate job, work from home, and stay-at-home dad, where your EDC doesn't matter. And I'm here to tell you that I believe that it can be useful and that it does matter. And I don't really care what you think about it, on whether or not if I carry too much stuff or not, because I don't think that I do. So, of course, you guys know I reviewed the Waterfield sling. Shout out to Waterfield. They sent this out to me quite a while ago. So when I knew I had to take my daughter back to her mom, my EDC bag right now is the GoRuck GR2 Dyneema. I like that bag a lot, but I knew that this was mostly, it's about a 5.5, 6 hour turnaround trip. So 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back, plus going to Buc-ee's, stopping for gas, stopping for coffee. I didn't want that bag in the cab of my truck with me, my 2-year-old, my 15-year-old. So I put this bag together instead. Only thing I really threw in here, like I said, the iPad. I brought this pouch with me because it does carry those items that I don't normally keep on my person. I just did a video about, the 5 worst mistakes you can make in EDC that cost you money. And this is where I mentioned where carrying too much stuff on your body is one of them. I don't need this pouch every day. I did a video on this as well. But in this pouch is this things that I will grab and I know that I could use, or my daughter can use. She asked me literally today while we're sitting in the McDonald's parking lot, "Hey Dad, I know you got some nail clippers on you. Do you mind if I hang my hands out the door and clip my nails real quick?" So of course, having that stuff here is pretty clutch. Chapstick and the other stuff in here probably rarely gets used because I have a multi-tool in my pocket today. So this juice is just a duplicate, but I'm okay with that. Flashlight is a duplicate. I'm okay with that. So, but this still will come with me because there will be those times when you are sitting around like we were today, when you have the opportunity to use that. I've already mentioned the iPad mini. That's crucial because Gracie's corner. I got a 2-year-old. Sitting in a parking lot for too long, they can get a little antsy, okay? Last thing that was in the actual bag today as well was my journal. Of course, I sell this on my website and it's not here to push that. The purpose of this is like when I have like free time, 2 things I will do is I'll either bring my iPad Pro and I'll type in Google Docs. I'm like a heavy Google Docs user. Like anytime I have an idea, whether it's for YouTube, my personal life, or for work, I'm opening up a Google Docs. I'm opening up a Google Keep and everything synced together. I have tons of storage on Google Docs, whatever. But a lot of that stuff starts here first, where I will write down my task for the day, which is what I did in this thing. And I decided to bring the tactile turn pen. Now this pen is overkill and I understand that, but this is one of those things that bring me joy because I am a work from home dad and I don't want things that are mundane to feel mundane. So of course I can knock this out with a G2 Pilot, I can knock this out with a BIC, but I write every day and I don't want that task to feel mundane. That's why I do this type of stuff where I have luxury type of items just for writing my task for the day. But I will do things like write down my primary, secondary, tertiary tasks and write any notes that I have, things that I want to do for that day. My EDC comes together every single day. It's not always this stuff. Sometimes I will literally just grab this multi-tool and stick it in my pocket. That's why I know that I can get away with maybe not having a flashlight in my pocket. Because yeah, I do like to be the hero dad and find stuff under the couch, under the bed, fix the freaking washing machine like earlier. But I hate having to duplicate efforts because I did not have a multi-tool in my pocket. I'm starting to realize it more and more as I get later into my 30s, as I approach my 40s, and as I have a 4,000 square foot house, and it's always some shit breaking, some always shit that needs to be adjusted. Another thing this got used for today, of course, my 3-year-old is in the final stages of finishing potty training. But for some reason, 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds feel like it's an absolute necessity when they flush the toilet. I have a left-hand flush toilet. Some of y'all have push buttons or whatever to like crank down on the handle, hold it, and watch the water go down. Cranking down on the handle, you already know what happens. Either they loosen that pivot inside, which normally you can hand crank, but because it's my son, I like to tighten it even more with the multi-tool. He's dislodged the plunger. He has dislodged the flapper. He has dislodged some of the mechanics inside the toilet. He has made the seat come ajar from moving around too much. So having this to do those type of quick tightening things, yeah, I do that type of stuff as well. So I'm trying to get ready for the spring. I think y'all are doing the same thing. Technically, y'all know it's still winter, right? And as I try to slowly get ready for the spring, me and my wife are not trying to be the neighbors who absolutely don't do anything to our yards and to our outside. So we cranked up the mower, we cranked up the weed whacker, we use that. And of course, if I need to cut string down for my weed whacker, the wire cutters that are built into the Free P4 are clutch. Can't use my knife for that unless it was serrated, and I don't have a partial serrated blade with me. It's a lot easier to do with the Leatherman. The wife was trying to fire up the lawnmower. I figured out that now I have an electric lawnmower, but some of the actual connectors came loose. To put those together with the pliers in this thing, a whole lot easier. So listen, I don't want you guys to feel down and out if you have this EDC that you're loading out every day and you feel like it's overkill and you absolutely don't need it, because maybe you don't. I don't know. But I feel like this is something that you need to hear. I do talk a lot about things, stop carrying stuff too much, you're not using it, etc., etc. I talk about that a lot. But I also want to talk to you about, even when I have the smallest of wins in my EDC, it brings me to this point of my day. Because of this kit, this very small, like productive kit, it helps me get through the day and get to this point where I can have a cup of coffee, I can edit videos, I can just play the game. I don't even know if I'm gonna edit tonight. I actually literally think I'm going to buy Helldivers 2 on PS5 and fire that up. Holler at me in the comments if you want to if you play Helldivers. But it brings me to this point. I've realized that when I don't have this stuff on me, and it doesn't have to be everything, but if I don't have a piece of my kit on me, I notice it immediately. I notice it immediately. I know if I didn't have my multi-tool on me and I'm up in my upstairs in this house and I have to walk back downstairs to get a T10 hex and a bit driver, I'm like, man, normally I would have my multi-tool on me. This sucks balls. So listen, little wins for me, things that matter for me. I don't know what you use yours for, but don't feel crummy if you're not using your stuff like you see everyone doing on videos, because I don't use my stuff that way every day. Now, I do go hunting several times a year. I have to help buddies do stuff several times a year. If we go to one of my wife's girlfriend's houses, I seem to use my stuff even more. But most of the day is mundane tasks. My EDC helps me get through mundane tasks. And I showcase some stuff that some items that are overkill or some stuff that's rudimentary and can just get the job done. A lot of things that I have bring me joy. That doesn't mean you should do the same thing. But I'm starting to find myself in this, and I don't know if you can pry this away from my code. Maybe you can pry it away from my code dead hands. Let's try that again. I don't know if you can pry this away from my cold dead hands, even if I'm already kicked the bucket. A multi-tool is something that's going to stick with me. I've had this for so long now. Comment down below because I'm highly interested in getting the Leatherman Charge, because I feel like some of the implements, some of the tools in there I could really use, especially when I'm working on the outside of my house, whether it is doing repairs to some of the siding, which I'm doing right now. We have wood siding that's rotted out, and I'm trying to rip stuff out and do repairs with that. Or I'm working on the pool. I'm working on our fence, which looks like complete shit. And the fence hasn't been replaced since this house was built in 1993. So I'm literally using a reciprocating saw to take the fence down, using these pliers to pull out brad nails, old brad nails that have been in there since the early 90s. But I think I want to try the Charge. What do you guys like more? Do you like the Free P4 or the Charge? I think some of the tools that might be in the Charge I could find useful for when I'm trying to do different things. But I don't know if I need that, because I've done the modifications to this thing where I've added the bit driver, I've added the file, and they both seem to be getting the job done. But this is the EDC Cup. I just wanted to talk to you, try to do this more often. If I don't get a chance to do it on the main channel like this, at least at a minimum for channel members, kind of throw it out there. Let me know, guys, know what you think about just kind of shooting the shit and let you know what I use my EDC for today. I'll holler at you. Let me clean my actual cup because I didn't do it earlier.